The Gambler's Ruin Project powered by SmartBet AI technology. Special Week 5 MLS Edition. The Gambler's Ruin Project, where the odds get cracked. This episode is AI generated and meant for informational purposes only. Gambling can be addictive. Please bet responsibly. This video is not intended as financial or legal advice, and AI is just one tool of several you should use when evaluating soccer matches. Always consider multiple factors before placing bets.
First up, FC Cincinnati hosts Atlanta United at TQL Stadium. Two teams coming into this match with contrasting forms and plenty of questions about their lineups. Cincinnati's looking to maintain their perfect home record, while Atlanta, well, they're just trying to figure out who's fit to play. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. and the weather. Mild evening, clear skies, perfect conditions for attacking football. No excuses for bad touches tonight.
Exactly, Anna. And let's talk about form. Cincinnati has been strong at home, with 2 wins out of 2, while Atlanta has struggled on the road. They've picked up just 1 point from their last 2 away matches, and injuries to key players could make this an uphill battle.
So, basically, Atlanta's game plan is hope for a miracle, while Cincinnati's is pray Corey Baird's calf doesn't explode.
Dom, you're terrible, but you're not wrong. Atlanta's missing Thiago Almada, who was their creative heartbeat before his transfer, and Giorgos Giakoumakis is still a major doubt. Without them, they might struggle to create clear-cut chances.
And let's not forget Tyler Wolff and Ronald Hernandez are also out. Atlanta's squad is stretched thin, which puts even more pressure on their remaining starters. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's Obinna Nwobodo is back in the lineup, which is a huge boost for their midfield.
Yeah, Nwobodo's return is massive. He's like Cincinnati's midfield metronome. He keeps things ticking and breaks up play when needed. Honestly, Atlanta's midfielders are probably dreading facing him.
And let's not forget the fans at TQL Stadium. Cincinnati's home crowd has been electric this season, and that energy could make life even harder for an already struggling Atlanta side.
Absolutely. It's shaping up to be a tough night for Atlanta, unless they can pull off something special.
Special? Cat. Atlanta's best hope is probably a defensive masterclass and a lucky counter-attack. Otherwise, this could get ugly fast.
Our AI model gives Cincinnati a 60.5% chance of winning, with a 22.7% chance of a draw, and just a 16.8% chance for Atlanta to take all 3 points. The most likely scorelines? A 2-0 Cincinnati win at 15.3%, followed by 1-0 at 14.1%, and 2-1 at 12.6%.
So the AI is clearly favoring Cincinnati, and honestly, it's hard to argue with those numbers. Dom, what's your tactical take on this one?
Cincinnati's home form is their biggest weapon. They've been clinical at TQL Stadium, and their XG advantage at home, plus 0.31, shows they're creating better chances in front of their fans. Add in Atlanta's defensive issues, they're conceding 1.52 goals per match, and you've got a recipe for a Cincinnati win. Atlanta's biggest issue is their lack of firepower. Without Almada pulling the strings and Giakoumakis potentially out, they're going to struggle to break down Cincinnati's defense. They might have to rely on set pieces or long-range efforts.
Exactly. And speaking of defense, Cincinnati's backline has been solid this season. If they can keep things tight at the back, Atlanta might not have the creativity to unlock them.
And let's not forget Nwobodo's impact in midfield. His return gives Cincinnati more control in the middle of the park, which could make it even harder for Atlanta to gain a foothold in the game.
It's like a chess match where one side forgot to bring their queen. Atlanta's missing too many key pieces to really threaten Cincinnati, especially away from home.
Let's talk betting. Based on the AI predictions and our analysis, here's what we're looking at. Most valuable bet Cincinnati to win at 1.80, which offers a plus 4.9% edge in value. Alternative bet under 2.5 goals. If Atlanta struggles to create chances, this could be a low-scoring affair. Correct score bets, 2-0 or 2-1 Cincinnati.
And here's the thing. If Giakoumakis is confirmed out, the under 2.5 goals market becomes even more appealing. Without him, Atlanta's attack is basically running on fumes.
Great point, Dom. And for those looking for a safer option, a draw-no bet on Cincinnati could be a good choice. It covers you in case Atlanta somehow manages to scrape a draw.
And don't forget live betting. If Cincinnati dominates early but doesn't score, Atlanta's odds to nick a goal on the counter could offer some value.
Yeah, but let's be real. This is Cincinnati's game to lose. If they play to their strengths, Atlanta's in for a long night.
So, to sum it up, Cincinnati's the clear favourite, Atlanta's dealing with too many injuries, and the smart money is on a home win. But as always, bet smart and stick to your bankroll plan.
And if Atlanta somehow pulls off a miracle, well, we'll blame Dom for jinxing it.
Hey, I just call it like I see it. But yeah, if Atlanta wins, I'll take the heat.
Alright, that's match 1. Up next, we head to Seattle for the Sounders versus Houston Dynamo. Stay tuned! Let's take a quick dive into Elo Ratings, a system you've probably heard us mention before. Originally developed by Hungarian-American physicist Arpad Elo for chess rankings, this system has since been adapted to measure team strength in sports, including soccer.
Elo ratings work by assigning each team a score based on their performance. When a team wins, they gain points from their opponent. The amount depends on the strength of both teams. Beating a stronger team earns more points, while losing to a weaker team costs you more.
In soccer, Elo ratings are great for predicting match outcomes. For example, if a high-rated team like Cincinnati faces a struggling Atlanta, the Elo gap can give you a clear idea of who's favored. It's like a dynamic power ranking that updates after every match.
So, whether you're betting or just analysing, Elo ratings are a powerful tool to evaluate team form and strength over time. But remember, they're just one piece of the puzzle.
Next up, we're heading to Lumen Field, where the Seattle Sounders host the Houston Dynamo. Both teams are off to solid starts this season, but Seattle's home advantage could be the deciding factor here. Kickoff is set for 10 p.m. Eastern, and the weather in Seattle, cool and cloudy as expected but no rain, so the slick turf should be perfect for Seattle's quick passing game.
Our AI model heavily favours Seattle here, giving them a 70.6% chance of winning. The draw is at 18.2%, and Houston has just an 11.2% chance of pulling off the upset. Likely scorelines? Seattle 2-0 leads at 16.4%, followed by 1-0 at 14.7%, and 3-1 at 12.3%.
Those numbers make sense. Seattle's home form has been outstanding, and Houston's away struggles are well documented. Dom, what's your tactical take?
Seattle's attack is the key here. Jordan Morris has been on fire, and Lodero's playmaking is as sharp as ever. Their XG advantage at home, plus 0.45, shows they're not just creating chances, they're creating high-quality ones. Meanwhile, Houston's away XG penalty, minus 0.25, highlights their struggles to generate meaningful opportunities on the road. Defensively, Seattle's backline has been rock solid, with Yaimar Gomez-Andrade and Stephen Fry providing stability. Houston's attack will have to work overtime to break them down, and I'm not sure they have the tools to do it.
Exactly. And let's not forget Seattle's ability to control the midfield. Joao Paulo and Albert Rusnak have been excellent at dictating the tempo, which could make it even harder for Houston to find any rhythm.
Houston's best chance might be to sit deep, absorb pressure, and hit on the counter. But even then, they'll need to be clinical, and that hasn't been their strong suit this season.
Right, and if they try to go toe-to-toe with Seattle, it could get ugly. This one feels like Seattle's game to lose.
You heard it here first, folks. All right, that's match 2. Up next, we'll talk about betting strategies for week 3, so don't go anywhere. Hey, if Houston wins, I'll wear a Dynamo jersey on the next show. That's how confident I am. And if Houston pulls off a shock win, well, Dom will be eating his words next week. So to wrap it up, Seattle's home dominance, Houston's away struggles, and the quality of players like Morris and Lodero make the Sounders the smart pick. But as always, bet responsibly and stick to your plan. But let's be real, Seattle's the clear favourite here. If they play anywhere near their usual level, Houston's in for a rough night. And for live betting, watch how the first 15 minutes play out. If Seattle dominates early but doesn't score, you might find better odds on an over 2.5 goals bet. For those looking for a safer option, a draw no bet on Seattle is a solid choice. It's unlikely, but if Houston somehow manages to hold them to a draw, you'll still get your stake back. And keep an eye on the both teams to score market. If Houston can nick a goal on the counter, that could offer some value. But honestly, I'd lean towards Seattle keeping a clean sheet. They've been that good defensively. Here's what we're looking at for this match. Most valuable bet Seattle to win at 1.60. The odds reflect their dominance at home, but there's still value here. Alternative bet over 2.5 goals. If Seattle's attack gets going, this could turn into a high-scoring game. Correct score bets 2-0 or 3-1 Seattle. Alright, let's shift gears and talk strategies for Week 5 betting. With some teams starting to show their true form and others still finding their feet, this is the perfect time to fine-tune your approach. Kat, let's start with the basics.
Absolutely, Anna. Week 5 is all about identifying trends. Are teams like Cincinnati and Seattle continuing their dominance? Are struggling teams like Atlanta or Houston showing signs of improvement? These trends help you spot value in the odds.
And don't forget the context. Injuries, suspensions, and even travel schedules can make a huge difference. For example, Atlanta missing Almada and Giacomakis is a red flag, while Seattle's stability at home makes them a safer bet.
Let's break it down into 3 key strategies for this week. First up, home advantage matters. Dom, take it away.
Home advantage is massive in MLS, more so than in some other leagues. Teams like Seattle and Cincinnati thrive at home, and their odds often reflect that. If you're betting on a home favorite, look for value in alternate markets like correct scores or goal totals to boost your returns.
Exactly. And on the flip side, be cautious with road teams. Houston, for example, has struggled away from home, so betting against them in Seattle makes sense. But if the odds are too short, look for spreads or totals instead.
Strategy 2. Watch the injury reports. Kat, why is this so critical?
Injuries can completely shift the dynamic of a match. Take Atlanta, for example. Without Almada, their creativity takes a huge hit. Before placing a bet, check the lineups and injury news to avoid surprises.
And don't just look at big names. Sometimes a key defensive midfielder or fullback being out can be just as impactful. If a team's structure is disrupted, it could lead to goals or an upset.
Great point. And our third strategy, live betting opportunities. Dom?
Live betting is all about reading the game as it happens. If a favorite like Seattle dominates early but doesn't score, their odds might drift slightly, giving you a chance to grab better value. Or if an underdog like Houston looks dangerous on the counter, you might find value in a both teams to score market.
And don't forget momentum swings. A red card or an early goal can completely change the dynamic of a match, so always stay alert during live betting.
Alright, before we wrap up, let's share one quick tip each for Week 5. Kat, you first.
Look for value in totals markets. If a match looks lopsided, like Seattle versus Houston, betting on over or under goals can often provide better returns than just picking a winner.
For me, it's all about monitoring late lineup changes. If a key player is ruled out late, it can create a huge opportunity in the betting markets.
And mine is simple. Don't chase losses. If Week 5 doesn't go your way, stick to your bankroll strategy and avoid doubling down. There's always another week.
That's solid advice, Anna. Remember, betting is a marathon, not a sprint.
Unless you're betting on Atlanta this week, then it's just a long walk to disappointment.
Dom, alright, that's it for our Week 5 betting strategies. Up next, we'll take a closer look at some under-the-radar players who could make a big impact this weekend. Stay tuned. Alright, let's talk about some under-the-radar players who could make a big impact in Week 3. These are the guys flying just below the spotlight but have the potential to turn games on their heads. Kat, who's your pick?
My pick is Obina Nwobodo from FC Cincinnati. He's back from injury, and his presence in midfield is a game changer. Nwobodo isn't flashy, but his ability to break up play and control the tempo is crucial for Cincinnati's success. Against a depleted Atlanta side, he could dominate the midfield and set the tone for the match.
Great choice, Kat. Nwobodo's return definitely makes Cincinnati even stronger. Dom, who are you keeping an eye on?
I'm going with Hector Herrera from Houston Dynamo. Yes, Houston's away form is terrible, but Herrera is their leader and playmaker. If Houston has any chance of getting something out of the Seattle game, it'll be because Herrera steps up. His passing range and ability to dictate play could be key, especially if they try to hit Seattle on the counter.
Interesting pick, Dom. Herrera will definitely need to be at his best to keep Houston competitive. For me, it's Albert Rusnak from Seattle Sounders. He's been quietly excellent in midfield, linking up play and creating chances for Morris and Lodeiro. Against a Houston side that struggles to defend on the road, Rusnak could have a field day.
What I love about these players is their ability to influence games without always being on the score sheet. Nwabodo's defensive work, Herrera's leadership, and Rusnak's creativity are all intangible qualities that can swing a match.
Exactly. And these are the kinds of players who often get overlooked in betting markets. For example, if you're looking at props, consider assists for Rusnak or tackles for Nwabodo. They're not flashy bets, but they offer great value.
And don't forget live betting. If you notice one of these players dominating early, it might be a good time to back their team or look for player-specific markets. So to recap, Nwabodo, Herrera and Rusnak are our under-the-radar players to watch in Week 3. Keep an eye on them, whether you're betting, analysing or just enjoying the games.
And remember, it's not always the big names that make the difference. Sometimes it's the guys doing the dirty work in the background who decide the outcome.
Or, in Houston's case, it might just be the guy trying to keep the score respectable. Sorry, Dynamo fans.
Dom, you're impossible! Alright, that's a wrap of our MLS Week 5 special edition of Gambler's Ruin Project. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more data-driven insights.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gambler's Ruin Project. Remember, our content is for informational purposes only, and all predictions are AI generated. Gambling can be addictive, so please bet responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help with gambling addiction, here are resources that can provide support. North America. Contact the National Problem. Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700, available 24/7 for confidential help. UK. Reach out to BeGambleAware at 08088020133 or visit begambleaware.org for information and support. Bet smart, bet safe, and as always, remember to keep things fun and balanced. We'll see you next week for more insights. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more AI-driven insights and pro betting tips each week. See you next time. The Gambler's Ruin Project, where the odds get cracked.